Okay, we're at 14 right now, so we can officially start the meeting. Would we want to put the flag up now?
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen here.
Okay,
Hold on.
and let's do the salute to the flag.
Oh, God.
Oh, there it is. Ellis has got one.
I thought we were going to use his hat. No saluting the hat.
Oop, I think I
Okay,
shared the wrong thing, sorry.
not a problem.
Where is, I had everything all ready. And then
I'm ready.
start closing down screens.
Okay, let's get to the flag.
I'm getting there.
We're not going to use Ellis.
Oh, am I supposed to do this? I pledge
Oh, here we
allegiance
are.
to the flag of the
This-
United States of
America.
America and to the
To the
republic for
republic
which it
for
stands,
which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Someday.
Okay, so
We need
this
a-
is the beginning of the April 2021 meeting of the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. Welcome, everyone. We have a good looking and a strong attendance tonight, and we're going to have a pretty darn good meeting. As I said a few minutes ago, we're going to have a representative from the Stop the Recall of Governor Newsom movement, and that's Ben Seinfeld. He's going to speak relatively soon in the meeting. Hopefully he'll come on board within the next few minutes, and he'll take up to 20 minutes of it. And there'll be questions afterwards. Then we're going to have a vote as to whether we want to support the Stop the Recall efforts and the resolution, which many of you have probably seen because that was distributed by Evan through the email system. Then we're also going to have the wonderful chairs of all of our standing committees give us about a 5-minute description of what their job is, what they would like to see happen under their, for example, Van is the head of the Issues Committee, what he would like to see happen in terms of running of the Issues Committee, and if he had an ability to ask a question as to what people can do for him, we would do that. So you can appeal to the crowd for things. And John Rowe, Ellis Goldberg, a treasurer's report, etc. So let's see if we have Ben Seinfeld or a representative from the Stop the Recall movement. There's Ben, and I don't see.
I'm here, Ronald. Sorry, I was.
Ben,
He's there.
good. Well,
you
thank you for
caught me in a
coming.
bite of my dinner, so I apologize.
No, you're just
That's
fine.
okay. I
This
still
is
have crumbs
perfect
left on my
timing.
face.
This is good. Well, I'd like to introduce a wonderful fellow, Ben Seinfeld, from the Stop the Recall of Governor Gavin Newsom campaign. Now, we're going to give Ben the floor to tell us about the campaign and the status of it. And then if we have any questions from the membership, Ben, would you be willing to take questions afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Could we stop sharing the screen just while I'm speaking, just since I don't have any slides or anything,
Yeah,
so we can all
I
see each
thought
other?
I'm sorry, I thought I did. Hold on.
No worries.
There you go.
Hey.
Oh, this is good.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Ben Seinfeld. I'm the political director for the California Democratic Party. I'm really excited to be speaking with you all tonight. Normally, I'm joined by my colleagues, Sherry Yang, who's our communications director, or Lizzie Habor, who is our organizing director, but they're actually at another Dem Club meeting in Sacramento right now, which is kind of funny. I'm actually based in LA, so you know you have to love Zoom to be able to let us get all around the state. So, as I'm sure everyone knows, the Republicans have launched a recall against Governor Newsom. This is actually the 6th attempt at recalling Governor Newsom since he took office. The only reason that this recall got enough signatures was because a court gave them 4 months, an extra 4 months to collect signatures. Typically, you get 5 months to collect signatures. They got 9. And so they were able to use the extra opportunity to organize Republicans around the state. Additionally, they were able to take advantage of Trump losing and the energy that created within their base, their very small base here in California. And now we're in this situation that, and this is going to be our fight for 2021. So the first thing I wanted to clarify, because this I have to do this for each meeting, is that I work for the California Democratic Party. The Stop the Republican Recall campaign is a separate campaign, but we are able to coordinate fully. So the governor's team with the Stop the Republican Recall campaign and the CDP coordinates fully. Additionally, it is the de facto position of the state party to oppose any recall of a Democratic elected official. So there's not going to be a vote or anything like that saying whether or not we're going to oppose the recall. The party opposes the recall. So I think that's also really important to let folks know. And so a couple of dates of where we're at right now, and I apologize, I'm just going to be looking at my notes. But the first thing is, I'm sure everyone knows, March 17th was the last day to submit petitions. The Republicans submitted over 2 million signatures, which is well over the amount needed. And the next deadline coming up is April 29th. That is actually when the registrar of voters are to complete verification of the petition. And at that point, we will know officially whether or not the recall is happening or not. Now, another thing just to mention is I know a lot of folks have heard about efforts to try and get people to unsign for the recall. There's a lot of people talking about whether or not that should be done. At the moment, that's not in the plans. In California, the list of people who sign a recall is not given to the person being recalled. So you're really talking about, trying to find marbles in a haystack with trying to identify 2 million voters out of 40 million, or sorry, 2 million voters out of the 22 million voters here in California. So as of right now, we're all really just focused on defeating the recall. And so as we start our planning and everything, the important thing to know is that people are projecting that the recall itself will happen sometime in early November to potentially late or early December. So we have a couple of months before we get even to GOTV. And for that, right now, we're really in a planning stage right now, very early on. It's a lot of infrastructure building. It's a lot of initial fundraising, message testing, coalition building. And what you all are doing right now perfectly ties into the work that we're going to be doing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the Tri-Valley Democratic Club is Contra Costa County, correct?
No.
No.
Alameda.
Alameda County, I'm
And
sorry.
Next to it.
2 counties. Alameda.
That's why I got confused. So it's the two counties, so it's Alameda
We're in
and
the midst of getting chartered in Contra Costa, and I'll be making a report on that later in the meeting.
gotcha. So the way we're really building the structure, because the organizing effort for the recall is really going to come through the state party. And the way we're really building is you have the state party, and then our organizing department working with the county central committees, that's working with the clubs and so on and so forth. And who here volunteered in the CDP's coordinated campaign this cycle? Either working with Earl or Martha or Marilyn. Were you all involved in the coordinated campaign?
No.
Okay. Well, the state party in 2020 set up a coordinated campaign. We had over 25 staff across the state organizing our activists, our Democratic clubs, our county central committees. So that way we could all start working together simultaneously, making sure that we were focusing our efforts in the right place and there was no duplication of efforts, making sure that we didn't have a set of volunteers on the same day canvassing one precinct all for 3 different candidates, but instead sending one person out there talking about all 3 candidates. And so we're going to be employing a lot of the infrastructure that we built for that coordinated campaign. We're going to be bringing back again for the recall, with the idea of then keeping it in place as we move into the midterms. And so a lot of folks I know are interested in, what can I do right now? How can I get involved? So there's really 2 things right now that you can't, 2 to 3 things you can do right now to get involved. And they all really involve signing up. The first one is, and it's the obvious one, is if you sign up to volunteer, you can either start right now. The campaign, the Stop the Republican Recall campaign, is doing text messaging to Democrats all over the state, asking them whether or not they support the recall. And as of about a week ago, they had identified over 325,000 voters who opposed the recall. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to donate. Since the campaign launched in the first quarter, they raised $3.1 million with an average from over 100,000 donors for an average donation of $23. Now, the California Democratic Party came in the day it was announced with a $250,000 contribution. This matches the contribution that the Republican National Committee also did for the Stop the Republic, or for the recall. And sorry, but this campaign is really going to be funded by grassroots donors. And so if you are able to, I encourage you to sign up to contribute. And then finally, the last one again is signing up, to get email updates. As we were talking about this organizing effort, what we're doing is we're encouraging anyone who's interested in volunteering, sign up with the Stop the Republican Recall campaign, and I'll post the website in the chat. But we're encouraging everyone to sign up there, because all that information of everyone who's volunteering will come back to our organizers. So instead of having people with 8 different lists out there and no one knows where it goes, we're just encouraging everyone, go to this one list and sign up there. So with that said, the final thing, and I will send this to, if someone wants to put an email in the chat, I can send it to, whether it's you, Ron, is we have a toolkit that we put together, and in it has FAQs, sample social media posts. It's got a template for how to do a letter to the editor, just a lot of very good things that you should look at, of ways to start getting involved now. Like I said, we're in phase 1. The way we're looking at it is it's all the initial work from the launch through the convention, which is next weekend. And then at that point, we'll start doing the next phases. So with that, that's really my update for tonight. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, but thank you for inviting me.
Well, that's a wonderful presentation. And if you just raise your hand, we'll start with Van for their questions.
I'm wondering if the effort to link this current campaign with the midterms that are coming up, if there isn't some like canvassing in swing districts like Tracy, like we did with the midterms 2 terms ago.
So it's a little different. So I'm assuming most people here are in Congresswoman Barbara Lee's district, or Congressman Swalwell, Kana,
and Mark DeSaulnier.
Right.
Yeah.
DeSaulnier. These are Democratic strongholds, right? So that's why you went out to Tracy. It was knocking on doors for Harder. The thing is, though, is the recall is a statewide thing. And so it's actually a little more impactful for you to make sure that you turn out the Democratic voters in your community where there's more density of them. Now, with that said, when you're phone banking statewide, you can really load up into a dialer everyone, right? You're not doing the district specific. You are just contacting Democrats in general. I'm not saying that there won't be canvassing opportunities in Tracy or in Stockton or Modesto, but that there's actually going to really be canvassing opportunities in Oakland and Berkeley and in all over. So I'm more just trying to emphasize that while you can go to other parts, this is actually a time where it does help to have our Democratic clubs in your community more organized.
Okay, good response. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have something, Ron.
Okay,
I was in on the meeting in Contra Costa County to do the organizing. And one of the ladies in that meeting came up with the most pervasive argument for not getting rid of Gavin Newsom. And it goes this way. If Gavin Newsom is replaced by a Republican, that Republican could be replacing Dianne Feinstein. If Dianne Feinstein is replaced, we get Mitch McConnell and we return to the last 4-year nightmare. And that covers everybody in the state. But I haven't heard that at all from the campaign. They all wind up doing what we call name calling. Name calling is what happens when you haven't got a really good argument. This is a really strong argument. There's a second part to it. The last ADEM election was all by mail for the first time. I looked it up. 162,000 Democrats asked for ballots. 62,000 of them actually voted. This should be loaded into, what is it called, PDI, your database that we can access from our phones during elections. That should be available to all of the clubs and the club members, so we can be calling the most likely people who would not only vote against the recall, but could be activated. They can be recruited into the Democratic clubs, but more importantly, they can be telling their friends and neighbors about the relationship between getting rid of Gavin Newsom and the possibility of Mitch McConnell sinking the entire Biden agenda. So we're looking at an existential threat to our democracy, and we have to frame it that way rather than any other way. And in case you're wondering, I've been practicing political marketing for 15 years and marketing in general for 40 years. This is the way to go. That list of people who got the ballots are prime candidates to be our customers. We should be able to be using that.
Ask him to put the.
Ron, I have a
yes,
question.
Well,
Go
can I
ahead.
actually speak to what Mr. Goldberg said?
yes. Let's
Thank you.
hear from Ben right now in response to the wonderful comment and the very important information that we just got from Ellis.
So 100% agree with you when we're talking about Senator Feinstein. You know, we saw what happened here. That's just how we got Senator Padilla. I actually used to work for Senator Padilla, so I was very thrilled when he was appointed. And, you know, whomever may be our next U.S. Senator from California, you know, I hope they're a Democrat, obviously. And so this is a very, you know, reality that you brought up that we have to be careful of. You know, I think yeah. So with that said, you brought up PDI. So what happens is the state party has an account with PDI and it's called MO. And I always forget what MO stands for, but basically we contract with the county central committees to get access. And then you're able as a club to contract with the county central committee to get access, and it's free for the county central committee and it's free for you. And you then have a PDI account and you're able to pull phone lists and pull walk lists and do the whole thing. The only time you ever have
Over
to
the last 15 years, the clubs have never had access to PDI.
Correct.
it comes
No,
through the
not
county
baseball.
central committee. So when our organizing department's getting up and running, if you're having issues, we can, work it out with them, and they can help you get it. But again, it comes through the county central committee. So, and then and then additionally, you brought up the ADEM election. So when Chair Hicks was elected, he really wanted to focus on how do you take the ADEM election and make it an organizing opportunity. And really the key to that was data collection. was making sure that after the election, you had a way to get all that information and immediately start using it. And by using a lot of the forms and things like that that were used this last cycle, I know it gave some people a lot of heartache when using it and a lot of frustration. But at the end of the day, all of that information is those people are already getting asked to participate in our party. Whereas before, that never necessarily happened. So we have taken that information, we're employing it, we're using it. And I just want to let you know, we were thinking about all these things, but I guess Mr. Colvin is next.
Jeff
Right.
Colvin, let's hear it from Jeff.
Yes, thank you. Before I get to my question, however, I would like to second what Ellis said about the real threat that we face with this recall campaign. But I would like to correct one thing that Ellis said. If the new governor is a Republican, he cannot replace Feinstein, but he can replace Alex Padilla, because Padilla was appointed by Governor Newsom to fill the unfinished term of Kamala Harris. So that's where the threat is that
Jeff, I was talking about if something should happen to Feinstein and she becomes incapacitated.
okay,
Yes.
well, the more
That
immediate,
was what I was inferring.
yeah, but the more immediate threat would be
Padilla, yeah.
he could replace Padilla, he or
Right.
she.
Okay, good info. And do you have a
my-
question, Jeff?
Yes, I do. I would like to get Ben's assessment of what he thinks are the chances that this Republican recall campaign could actually succeed.
The Republican recall campaign will not succeed. We are all going to do everything necessary to ensure that it does not succeed. I think that's the best way to put it. We will not let it succeed. There are, and let me point out a couple of reasons why. First off, Democratic activists in California are awesome, and we are going to do the work necessary. We did the work in 2018, and we got 7 members elected to Congress. Yes, there was a setback in 2020. We've been doing a lot of research into those districts to see what happened, and we have a fairly good understanding of why we lost those 4 congressional districts, and we are preparing for 2022. And I feel very confident that we can take them back. Additionally, when you look at 2003 to 2021, in 2003, Governor Gray Davis had an approval rating in the mid-20s. Governor Newsom had an approval rating in the mid to high 50s and even to the 60s. And that was even after the French Laundry incident. Californians, Republicans made a stink about it, but Californians recognized that he was doing the work. He was protecting us. He was doing what was necessary, making the tough choices, and they didn't care. They focused on the work that he was doing. And here we are. California is in a very strong position compared to the rest of the country in terms of new cases. And finally, you have to look at the demographics of California in 2003 to 2021. So you look there in 2002, when Gray Davis won his reelection, I believe he won by 6 points. Governor Newsom won his election in 2018 by, I believe, 20 points. Donald Trump he barely got to 38% here in California. So this is a Democratic state. We almost have a 2-to-1 voter registration advantage over the Republicans. I mean, I think the best way to equate it is they're shooting the moon, right? They're trying to pull this out, but we have the expertise. We are the ones who have been cycle after cycle picking up more seats in the Congress, in the Assembly, in the Senate, getting all of the constitutional offices. It's because of the work that the grassroots Democrats have done. So that's why I feel very strong that we are going to win this recall. But I don't want to sound cocky. It's we have to do the work. So
Wonderful. And let's hear again from Van Rainey.
Well, I think Miss Mupidi had her hand raised first.
And do
Yeah,
we have
hi.
another one? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Sheree. Nice to meet you all. I had a quick question on when the election is proposed to be, and then after, like, say, worst case scenario that Gavin Newsom is recalled, would Gavin Newsom then be able to run again in the following election, or would it have to be a completely new candidate? Yeah, I would just like some color on that.
So they're projecting the election will happen in November of this year, but could also happen in early December. And to the second question, I actually don't know the answer of if you are recalled, can you vote again or can you run again? I know that when in a recall, the candidate being recalled can't file as a candidate in the recall. But I don't know whether or not you can run again, but fortunately that, we're going to do what's necessary to ensure that we don't have to learn the answer to that question. But I apologize. I don't know.
Thank you, Shree. Wonderful
really
question. Did you have additional comments?
Yes, just really quick follow-up to that. What is like the party sentiment overall on the idea that like a lot of Democrats expect Gavin Newsom to win and then as a result are like apathetic and don't turn out? And like I would say that like a majority of my friends who are Democrat will like likely be more like assume that Gavin would win and then end up not voting. And is that a concern? And how do you think about that concern?
I mean, I think that's a concern in every election is, are people going to be complacent and not turn out to vote? Now, one of the things that's fortunately going to happen in this election is this is the first time that every voter, by law, every voter in the state will be receiving a vote by mail ballot in California. And so that should absolutely drive up turnout. And so you take driving up turnout from that, you take the hard work that we're all going to be doing to turn out the vote, to really running it's not really seen to see a fully coordinated statewide campaign mobilizing all of our Democratic activists toward one single statewide election here in California. Generally, when you see statewide elections, they really just focus on raising money and doing TV. Now, so doing digital, but there will be a field program. There will be a full statewide field program in place, and the work will be done to turn people out. Whereas traditionally, it's really more about just blanketing all of the airwaves and on social media with voting for the candidate. So,
got it. Thank you.
Do you see any other comments or questions coming from your vantage point, Ben?
Yes, Mr. Rainey.
Yeah, speaking of the Republican Party and their desperation and their propensity to use disinformation, is there any aspect of the campaign that might be leaning on all of the tech companies that are located in California to get them to filter out some of the disinformation that is likely to come?
I personally don't know for that. What I do know is, the social media companies are still actively doing a lot of work right now to filter out disinformation. But I don't know of any like explicit coordination between the campaign and the social media companies. My assumption is that it's more that the social media companies would not engage in that. They want to stay a little more neutral, even though I think we all, can assume where the members of social media companies lean one way or the other. I don't know that they'll actually actively get involved in a campaign.
Additional comments or questions? Okay, well, at this point, we want to give a big thank you and a round of applause to Ben Seinfeld for a wonderful and detailed presentation.
Sharon,
I didn't hit my unmute quick enough.
Okay, well, let's hear then. Go ahead.
This is Jamie. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm
Jamie.
wondering, so it seems to me that, there's a big population of Asians that are Republican. However, they believe that COVID is real and are being very compliant with, all of the guidance and everything. So I kind of feel like those are people that would, there's a lot of Asians that would normally vote Republican. This may take a different, strategy. And I don't know if you guys have thought about that, or am I even bringing up something that's not real? What are your thoughts?
Well, so the campaign, we've had a lot of conversations with the campaign really about how do the two groups that I think really are going to be the defining voters in this election is going to be the Latino community, especially in the Central Valley and in Southern California, and then the API community. And there's a lot of work being done right now to understand the best way to communicate with both of these communities, how to organize these communities. One of the salons we're actually doing at the upcoming convention is on organizing in Spanish speaking communities. We're excited. We'll have Senator Padilla, Dolores Huerta, Otto Briceño, among many other folks talking or having a conversation about how best to organize Spanish speaking communities, because I think we all know that the Latino communities have been hit the hardest during the pandemic, and that making sure that we know the best way to communicate and to let them know why they do not want to recall Governor Newsom is going to be very important. So a lot of work is being done for those communities, both to understand the best way to message and communicate, and then additionally the organizing that will happen afterwards.
So you don't have
for the question.
You don't have an API strategy yet?
I don't believe that there's a strategy in place like at this moment. It's everything's being worked on. Again, the campaign was only launched, I want to say about 3.5 weeks ago, maybe 4.
Right. FYI, working in the public health world and working on stigmas, somebody gave me some research that says that APIs generally like information and to be sort of educated first before you tell them to do anything. So you have to really lead up to the ask instead of coming right out with the ask. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So just keep that in mind. And we have lots of strong Asian Democrat groups that will probably help with this, but I definitely think that that's an area that really there needs to be focused, because there's a lot of Asians that are Republicans.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional comments or questions for Ben? Okay, well, at this point, we want to thank Ben again, and we want to do it in a more formal way. We actually have a resolution to support the Stop the Republican Recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, this was sent out to all members, and if we have any questions about it, we'd like to have those being presented now, or further clarification. Or if anybody wants me to read the whole resolution, which is basically a half a page, we can do that. Otherwise, we can just vote as a membership, yay or nay, whether to support this stopping the recall of Governor Newsom.
Ron, I believe that Jackie had it up as a page. Could we look at it?
Okay, Jackie, if you can put that up, that would be wonderful.
I think I saw it.
Jackie, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking.
I saw it at the beginning, yeah.
Here it comes. Yes, this is it. Okay, so let's spend a little while to be able to read this. And the last line is on the bottom. It says there to be resolved. So we have the whole of it presented on screen as of now.
I asked Ben Sign, if we pass this resolution, what will be done with
Give
all
us
of
a little
the
more time to
central
read here.
committees that pass the resolution? Who's gonna does this make any difference?
Not as much as organizing.
Oh, sorry. The
Yeah.
reason that this is important is, as I mentioned in the beginning, the party's stance on resolution or on recalls is de facto against it. And so generally, when you're thinking about, interacting with the press and whatnot, you want to be announcing that something was done and action was taken in opposition. And so since there isn't actually a formal vote to oppose the recall, by passing a resolution opposing the recall, it is really the best step of kind of making a declaration at the convention that California Democrats opposed the recall, since it's a more automatic process, and there isn't actually a vote.
Yeah, so even if we're just on a list of Democratic clubs in California that have passed resolutions in favor, I suggest that we go ahead and have a vote on this. Any questions?
Would it be all right if we write a press release and send this out that we passed this resolution?
Isn't that wonderful? That's one of your strengths. We would
Ron?
deputize you to do that.
You got it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay,
Ron?
well, let's have a voice vote as to
Okay.
whether we will
John's got
pass
something to
the
say.
resolution.
Okay.
Do we,
Okay.
any more questions or comments? Okay, those in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
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 Those opposed? Those abstaining? Okay, the resolution passes unanimously. Very good. Okay, thank you again, Ben. I understand that your time is limited, and
So,
we
Ron, really
appreciate your
quick.
good energy.
Ron, really
Final
quick.
comments?
So I put in the chat the link to be able to sign up to help the campaign. Additionally, I put in there a PDF, which is our 2021 toolkit for opposing the recall. So I encourage everyone to download it, take a read through it. There's a lot of very useful information there.
You've got
Sounds wonderful.
All right.
And that's a great way to get involved in the campaign. The
Yes.
downloading sounds like an important function that we can do.
So,
Okay, thanks
Thank you,
again,
everyone.
Ben. Okay, thank you much. Okay, now we want to open the floor to John Rowe, one of our longtime members and strong members. He has an invitation to a wonderful May Day event. John?
Good evening, brothers and sisters. John Rowe, proud member of Service Employees International Union Local 2015, which is California's long-term healthcare union, and a delegate to the Contra Costa Central Labor Council. Labor councils around the Bay Area have united to hold on May 1st, International Workers' Day, one of the oldest holidays and traditions in organized labor.
go.
They have a rally in San Francisco on May 1st, starting at the Embarcadero at 10 a.m. We will be following the traditional march route of the 1934 march down Market Street to city center. This promises to be a large and well-coordinated function. Ought to be a lot of fun. Weather's been great, so it's a good day for a walk. So I hope I can see you there. My recommend is to take BART and exit at the Embarcadero station, and you'll be right there. So I hope to see you there, and be well. And remember, International Workers' Day is for all workers. Thank you.
Wonderful. Sounds like a great event and a fun location too.
Yeah. Afterwards, you drop off to the wharf or, a
The
lot
ferry
of the other things
building.
in the city.
That's right. Right there at the ferry building, you can pick up some really good coffee and desserts and, vegetarian snacks, all sorts of fun stuff. So in addition to supporting labor and celebrating May Day, then you can have a little excursion. And I like the idea of BART. Okay, thanks again, John.
Oh, you're
We look
quite
forward
welcome,
to seeing
Ron.
you there. Okay. Now, next on our agenda is that we have an important bylaw to the TVDC bylaws, the way that we govern ourselves. We have an amendment that we have passed out through emails, and maybe Jackie can put this up on the screen now. And we're going to have one of actually the past president of the club, Ellis Goldberg, lead us through the presentation of the amendment so that we can have our Contra Costa County Central Committee representation of our club, in addition to the Alameda County that we have. And so Ellis, the floor is yours.
Am I on? I guess so.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. By the way, Evan's here.
Okay, good.
In case you didn't know it, Ron, I think he slipped past you.
That's fine.
Basically, in order to be chartered in Contra Costa County, we have to elect both the representative to the Contra Costa Central Committee and that person's alternate. And that's generally a requirement on the day that the Central Committee votes on chartering. The vote has to be, democratic with a small d. So this resolution says that a majority, whoever gets the majority becomes the representative. And should representative resign, the president is authorized to appoint the representative until the next general meeting, when a new representative will be elected. And what I found in the past was it wasn't a matter of a lot of people clamoring to be the representative to the Central Committee, but instead it took some convincing actually before they would become our representative to the Central Committee. Jamie has been our representative. Jackie has been our representative in Alameda County, but we haven't had representation in Contra Costa. Contra Costa is a little bit different than Alameda. In Alameda, we have somebody who is authorized to second resolutions, but not make resolutions. And in Alameda, we don't get a vote at all. In Contra Costa, we would have a full voting membership, that is the representative, and should that representative not come to the meeting, the alternate would have that full voting rights. So it's a little bit different in Contra Costa. I submitted the papers to Contra Costa last year in October, and they failed to even get back to me to tell me the disposition of it. I spoke to Katie Rickliffs, who's the new chair, and she promised me that Contra Costa would be considered for chartering in April. That was last Thursday. Didn't happen. I asked for an explanation, didn't get one. Evan has asked for a meeting with the chair of the club's development committee and her manager, so to speak, the vice chair, who's in charge of the club's development committee and is in the midst of setting up some kind of meeting with those two ladies and myself to discuss what we're going to have to do in order to get chartered in Contra Costa County. Did I miss anything, Evan?
No, I think that's the basics of it. So yeah, we're going to be working with the representatives from Contra Costa Central Committee to just figure out the best way that is mutually advantageous for both our club and the Central Committee moving forward. I just want to point out that with this bylaw amendment, we will have to have an election for both our Alameda County Central Committee representatives, and if we are chartered with Contra Costa, for our representatives there. So upon passing this, if it passes, we'll need to have an election at our next meeting to appoint an Alameda County representative. And if we're at the point where we need a Contra Costa representative, We will also need an election for that. So do keep an eye on your email. I'll update everyone on the process with Contra Costa and whether or not there will be election. We'll take nominations from the floor for that, or if anyone wants to let me know ahead of time that they're running, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to make sure that you get a couple minutes to talk at our next meeting.
Sounds good. Okay, now do we have any questions or comments on the specifically highlighted yellow sections, which are the new sections added on to our May 2020 version of the bylaws, which are listed here? So did we want somebody to maybe read the new section? It's a small print. Ellis, do you want to do that?
I guess so. I wrote it.
Yeah.
Right. This is in the election section, section 5, Central Committee representatives, club representatives to the county Democratic Party central committees and their alternates shall be elected by a majority vote of the members. Representatives and alternate election will be held at the January general meeting in odd numbered years. Should one of those positions become vacant, the club president will appoint a representative until the next general club meeting, when an election of the replacement will take place. Representatives and alternates will report to the club on the activities of the club of the Central Committee and inform central committees of the club's activities.
That sounds good. Any other sections that we're adding to the bylaws? That's it.
No, that's it.
Okay. Questions or comments? Looks good to me. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and vote then. Okay, let's take a vote now, another voice vote, to see whether we want to add in section 5, the Central Committee representatives section to our bylaws. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The amendment to our bylaws passes unanimously.
It's a good way.
Okay, at this point, we have our president has joined us, and it's up to him if he would like to take over the meeting from here, or I would continue if at your pleasure.
You're doing a great job, Ron. If you need me for anything, I'm here for support. I think next up is the chair's presentation, and I'll let you carry that on.
Let's do that. And this is a wonderful opportunity for our strong members that have volunteered and have been selected to chair our what is known as standing committees as described in the bylaws. And so let's start with, well, why don't I give you an idea of what I see since I'm at the top of the list. I'll just start with an indication. I have 7 points. And I describe these as goals, duties, and functions of the vice presidency. First, to perform the duties of the president when the president is unavailable, like tonight. 2, assist the president in conducting meetings and events. 3, to provide psychological support, encouragement, and promote a positive atmosphere at clubs, functions, and events. Sounds like something a psychologist might do, huh? Okay, 4 of these, I have goals, duties, and functions, and maybe these are kind of the ways that you might structure or present your information on your committee. Number 4, edit official documents for clarity, precision of language, and grammar. I edit books, master's thesis, and PhD dissertations for 2 psych universities, including the biggest one in the world, based in San Francisco. 5, supervise the operation and content of the TVDC YouTube channel, which I built and maintain. When live meetings and events resume, then I'll resume filming the live events and posting on YouTube. Since we won't have a Zoom video, we'll need live videography. Live video will include meetings, speeches by candidates, lectures, seminars, members, and guests included. 6, oversee the entertainment of club members and their guests at meetings and events. This is to provide a positive atmosphere, increase motivation, and foster a sense of fun. That's an important thing. Occasionally have a little fun. This includes writing and performing protest songs. Oh yeah. Folk songs, holiday-themed music by myself and with members of my rock band, as I have done for the last 8 to 10 years. 7, assist the hospitality chair with acquisition, display, and distribution of foodstuffs and resources for meetings and events. When live events return, I will resume my work on these tasks. So that's my view. And I'd like to go ahead and then ask Alan if he has some comments, up to 5 minutes or so, about what he sees as the function roles, and if there's anything that he would like us to do to help him in his role as our wonderful treasurer. Alan, you have the floor.
Alan is muted.
Alan is muted. Can we get Alan unmuted? I see Alan is still muted. Is there any way?
He's in the dark.
Alan, can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Now I'm
Any
unmuted.
comments?
Well, first off, is treasurer, I'd like to say, I don't have any accounting background. I'm also not particularly computer savvy on a lot of these things, but I really appreciate the help of our previous treasurer, Bob Naylor, in all that he's done and getting me through this. And I'm getting pretty well up to speed to do it all myself. The goal, one of the things is membership and making sure that we have members coming in and that just keeps going. Currently, just on our current financial statement, we have 111 members. We have 3 new ones as of yesterday. That compares to 81 members that we had last year at this time. And we still have 39 who have not responded to re-up for this year. As far as our money in the bank, we have $2,533.83. This last month, we had an income of $95, again from dues. We had expenses of $60 for the Alameda County fee for the Democratic Club. Also $3.67, that's what it costs us to get the $95. Also, we have a media expense, and that's a new category. And to sign up for Zoom as a group, because Jackie's been doing it, and she's been wonderful, but it really is not her responsibility to be paying for this. So we signed up, and it was going to be $14.99 a month. Well, Jackie also found like a coupon she sent to me, and I cleared her with Evan. And what we did was we signed up for a year for $114.12. So it's quite a savings. And hopefully we only do this for 1 year, and next year we can meet as normal human beings. The other expenses are PO box, and that's it. If there's anything, any question anybody has about membership or about getting money or whatever, just let me know. That's what I'm here for.
Alan, I have to apologize. I was out of the room when you gave us the balance in our account.
$2,533.83.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Now, Alan, is there something that we can do as either the executive committee or as the membership in general to help you do your job?
No, Bob has been all the help I've needed, and also Jackie in helping with, getting some expenses planned and done. So that's it. And as I say, hopefully I'm up to speed where I can do it all without any help.
Wonderful. Thanks much. Now let's continue with the executive committees. Jackie, Taryn, Rankle, tell us a little bit about what you feel about your position and how we can help you.
Well, it's been a challenge with Zoom, obviously. Just getting back to normal. I look forward to getting out in the field and talking to people in the community and introducing them to our club. Where my point of view is just supporting really a lot of the other members who are doing creative work. like Sarah and team in some of the website work and posting. So whatever they need as far as from the minutes or highlights from our meetings, trying to provide that to the groups and being here as a support, really. And as Ellis mentioned, with the Central Committee, we will vote on that. So, you know, if there's other people who want to step into that role, though I don't mind doing it, I'm all for if somebody wants to step in there and try out that role as a club rep. We will have election for not only Contra Costa down the road, but as well as Alameda County. So we're consistent with those new bylaws we just passed. So that's it for me. And I'll give you the rest of my report when we get to approving the minutes and such later in the agenda.
Wonderful. Thank you so much again for your work, especially the meetings, the minutes for those, and also the work that's difficult that I know of nobody else in the club that can do this Zoom work for us. So that's the executive committee. And what we want to do is move to hearing from the chairs of our standing committees. And the first one we'll hear from is Ellis Goldberg, who's the political director. Ellis?
Thank you, Ron. Political director was a title that I invented several years ago for Eloise Hammond. And she said, "What are my duties?" And I said, "Whatever you want." And that's a hat that has a lot of corners, I guess. And when Evan asked me what I really do, I said it's kind of foreign minister in that the club interacts with a lot of different organizations, the CDP, both central committees, and several other Democratic clubs, organizations like Our Revolution, Indivisible, you know the rest.
Yeah.
And as president, I interacted with all of them. And that's also one of Evan's visions, that the club should be a hub for progressive organizations, just as the IBEW is the physical hub for progressive organizations. In the Tri-Valley, we should be that political hub. So right now I'm working on several things. One of them you heard from earlier, and that is the, I hate the name Stop the Recall, because we can't stop the recall. It's Block the Recall. And anyway, I plan on working on that locally and seeing if in fact we can get the PDI to our members so that we're able to call up people who we know voted in the ADEM elections. So we don't have to convince them that Joe Biden's a good guy and his whole agenda is important. We can just get to those people. But also I've been working on the chartering in Contra Costa County and a number of other issues, including the executive perpetrators resolution that we passed recently. So what am I doing? I'm still wearing a lot of hats. And if anybody cares to take any of these and take the lead on any of these things, or share the lead with me on any of these things, be welcome. But I thought of one thing that people could do. Over the years, we've accumulated a whole bunch of stuff in my garage that belongs to the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. John is smiling because he's been in my garage. And it includes a PA system, which we've loaned to candidates. John actually took it and brought it to the AAIP event that Sean Kumagai invited us to a few weeks ago. I wouldn't mind getting that out of my garage. And I've got a whole bunch of pamphlets that are filled out when somebody becomes a member of the club for the first time that we used for tabling. Oh, yeah. Also, there's a lifetime supply of paper plates and plastic silverware. there. So if anybody has any room in their garage and cares to give these things that belong to the Tri-Valley Democratic Club a home, I would appreciate it. My daughter, her children, and her husband are moving in here at the end of the month, and we need every cubic inch of space we can find. So I'd appreciate that help.
Ellis, we need the paper plates and stuff and the plastic silverware for events.
Right. Well, they would be for club events,
Right.
and that's why we have them. So maybe somebody else could take them.
No.
Okay. Anyway, you can fight with her.
I'm not
Thank
fighting
you,
with
folks.
Sharon.
Okay, Ellis, I'd be happy to take the PA system and some of the pamphlets.
Okay, good deal.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Ellis. And now we are moving along. Oh, boy, this is really blossoming. We have a nice list of standing committees, and it seems like in the last few months that our interactions and the participation by members has increased. So that's wonderful. We now have Sharon Goldberg, who's the head of our hospitality committee. Sharon?
Take the camera.
Thank you. I probably have the best job and the most fun job. As you know, I call our members to tell them to remind them of our events and our meetings.
Okay.
I also remind them when we have in-person meetings to bring a dessert and a beverage to share at our
Yes.
meetings. I also plan our barbecues and our holiday parties by choosing the venue, the date, the time, the food, the entertainment, etc.
Good.
And if you want to help me with these events, just let me know. And luckily, Ron has offered to help me with these events also. Thank you.
Oh, can I
Okay,
add
wonderful.
one
Go
little
ahead.
thing from Sharon that she updated me on is that we may be able to, depending on health conditions and everything, we may be able to start meeting in person early this summer. And depending, she's trying to find out now if we can do our barbecue this year.
He never called me back.
Hopefully we'll get that sorted out.
Right. So Sharon's done some good work and has been in touch with Greg, who is responsible for overseeing the operation and telling us when Greg Bonato, who may be with us today, thanks to Greg, for the hall, the Union Hall. So there's an indication that we'll be able to start, as Evan said, the beginning of summer, which is great. Okay, and we need a few more people to help on with the food and some of that stuff for the barbecue. So if any of you are good waiters and waitresses and know how to buy a hot dog, then we could use your help. Okay, well, this is looking good and we're moving on. Thank you, Sharon. We have Asa on the local politics committee. So Asa's our chair. Asa Stout, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no worries. It's Asa, the hard A.
Asa,
So
sorry.
yeah, no worries, no worries. So the intent behind this club is to really kind of mirror what Van is doing at the state level and state and up, and keeping it at the local level within the Tri-Valley and then sometimes in the Alameda County overall. So we're going to be bringing issues forward from that are being, basically crowdsourced from people within the committee up to the group to either present motions for support from the club or motions to say, hey, we outright don't support these measures, depending on what it is. But with the intent of all of this really is to get to coordinate local grassroots activists and get them involved. And like, people become involved when there's something that they actually are invested in. So we're not asking people to be everything in their city. It's like, hey, if there's something that really is important to you in your city or in the Tri-Valley, that's your thing. Find that lane and run with it and keep us up to date. And that's going to create, hopefully, a stronger set of people to work with, because everyone's going to have their focus. And then that's actually going to create some more downstream effect where we are keeping a bigger eye on certain issues within the Tri-Valley that our local elected officials will also care about. So the main intent is to really get us involved in these issues to raise the clout of our organization so that local officials are going to be coming to us more for their support and know that when we make an endorsement on a local issue, that it's going to have a nice punch behind it. So we want to also coordinate with local elected officials and get them involved with the club to pitch ideas to them too. And like if it's a local elected official who wants to support or wants to present a policy, we'll present it to the committee, determine if that policy is good. That's a good democratic policy, and then work with Evan and the rest of the executive team, getting them scheduled to attend one of our meetings so the greater club can hear what they have to say. And again, it's all about making sure we have people engaged and we have local elected officials really listening to what we say as a club, as an organization. So, you know, to achieve this, that's really what it comes down to, is getting those people who are going to focus on those issues, people who are going to be looking over agenda packets from, like, you know, city council, planning commission, school board, partnering with some of these elected officials that are members of the club themselves. So so we don't have to like always have someone there. If we have an elected official within the club, they can be that person who's like, hey, there's something on the school board we should keep an eye out for. All right, so that's kind of what we're hoping for. And then, you know, at the same time, you know, as we increase our clout within the local elected arena, we can then start holding our elected officials' feet to the fire when, you know, when we start supporting things and they say that they'll support it. We're really going to, like, you know, be able to kind of push back and enforce that. And right now, so far, we have myself, Kunal, and Monith, each from Livermore, Dublin, Pleasanton. But, you know, we are completely open to more people. I mean, it's one of those committees that if you want to, it's as the committee will be as involved as you want to make it involved. So if there's something that you want to focus in on, like homelessness issues in the area, you can jump in. You don't have to be dedicated to a city. You can be dedicated to an issue. So feel free to reach out to me. I'll shoot my email into the chat, and you can just shoot me an email saying, hey, I want to be interested in this. And we're going to start scheduling monthly kind of check-ins amongst the committee, you know, kind of ad hoc. There's no set schedule until we get like a larger group of people that will need a more set schedule. But yeah, if there's any other questions, feel free to answer. I'm free to answer any. If not, we can go to the next committee.
I think we have a hand raised by Mary.
Oh, Mary. Hey, Mary.
Hi, Asa. So you've got a baby committee right now. It's small, but have you identified any issues yet that you are going to try to get to work on?
Well, so I mean, there's always within the Tri-Valley, there's housing issues. So there's affordable housing projects that are happening in Livermore that we could probably put our support behind. There's affordable housing projects in Dublin as well that are popping up. And then there's the lack of housing going up in Pleasanton that we could also start getting behind as well, and pushing our local elected officials to support more housing and stuff like that. So those are just some ideas. Off the top of my head.
Just yet.
And there are more issues to come, trust me.
Yeah, we're gonna have more issues. So Kunal is on the line as well, and we've been talking about what we want to bring forward in an official capacity. We just haven't sat down and started really kind of brainstorming because there's quite a few things out there. We just want to make sure that what we present is, you know, a meaningful list.
Okay, any more comments or questions?
My way.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Strout. And we have 4 more. I'll just briefly say Samir, Sarah, Kunal, and Van to give you a framework of what we've got coming up. And we're lucky right now. We have Samir Qureshi, who's the membership chairman. Samir?
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Jackie, do you have that email I sent you with one slide? Are you able to share that?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you just wanted me to allow you to share. Let me pull that.
No, because I don't have, I'm on my iPad, so I don't have that slide in front.
Got
That's
it.
why I actually asked Evan, but he said he wasn't going to be on, so.
Stand by. Let me open that up. And I think this is.
Ron, do you want to have somebody else go first before me then?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
We got it.
I think we're going to have it quickly, and maybe
Okay.
you can
No.
just start talking.
There it is. Okay.
I'm not that slow.
Wonderful.
All right, guys. Thank you. Oh, I'll just go up a little bit. All right. So listen, membership committee. Well, why is there a membership committee? Ultimately, we want to make sure that this club, there's awareness of this club, and we bring more and more members. I think we have what, 100 and close to 20 or 140 members, I think. I don't have the exact numbers. So I think we have a potential to really go 10x, even 20x. Nothing wrong with going up to 20x. There's plenty of Democrats in Tri-Valley. So what I'm looking for, as one had requested everybody to ask, bring in one new member to this meeting. I'm not sure how many people are here for the first time. I did ask one person. I know he's here. Just not sure how many others are the first timers here. Just like to see if there is a raise of hand if people can share who's been here for the first time. I don't know. Ron, can you figure it out if you can? But either way, listen, I'm hoping that how we're going to drive this membership, grassroots campaign. Every member, I think if everybody brings in one new member every meeting, we have 12 meetings in a year. We could bring in, each person can bring 10 to 12 people per year. Multiply that by 140 members that we have, we're just right there, 10x, right? We could do that. We could easily do this. Nothing wrong with that. We do need, I've talked to Sarah, who's also going to join me as a part of the committee member to help drive some social media campaign, because she's responsible for communication, and some of these membership campaigns will go hand in hand. We also would like to actually ask for some volunteers. We have Livermore, Dublin, Pleasanton, and San Ramon, Danville. I'd like to see if we could get volunteers, one from each city, who could come and participate in this membership committee to drive members from those cities. I'm requesting if we could get somebody to help us with that. So if anybody's interested, reach out to me directly, or Evan, or anybody, and they can reach out to me also. Also going to focus a lot more on youth. And so I've asked actually a new member today. He's here, Mahir Yassir. He is a Dublin High School student, and he is going to actually get involved. And I'm going to ask him to help me with the high school recruiting. I'd like to see if we could find somebody from a college recruiting also. So bring in more members from college and high school. So if anybody knows of anyone who's interested in college recruiting, let me know. I've actually asked Evan to see if we could do a free or a discounted membership for the students, possibly a free one for high school members and a discounted one for college ones. So again, Evan needs to come back to me. We'll discuss that and come up with a final resolution of that. Again, we're going to look at some email campaigns. We have, I believe we could find some list through PDI and others of Democrats. So maybe we could send out an email informing them what is this club and why they should join. And last but not least would be possibly maybe asking some of our union leaders to see if they want to bring in their members to come and join, Democrats of theirs, of course, hopefully they're all Democrats, to join our club. So I think we have potential of lots of ways we could drive a membership, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware, and only ask of mine to everyone, every meeting, please try to bring in one new member. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you, Jack. Questions, comments?
I have a comment. We've been successful at recruiting when we have a fight on our hands. Our most successful fight was when Jerry McNerney ran for the second time. Remember, after he ran, we went up to 160 members. That was the highest we have. Right now, the Gavin recall is an opportunity. It's something to talk to people about and invite them to our meetings about. We're going to have good speakers. That's what we use to recruit. That's our bait to recruit, to bring them into our meeting. if you can get somebody to come to our meeting because they heard we're going to have an interesting speaker where they're going to actually get a chance to ask questions, that is very tantalizing for new members. That's how we get new members. So my advice is see what we have as entertainment. And many people ask my wife, what's the entertainment this month when she calls them up? So keep that in mind.
Also,
Great.
when, you know, when things open, we can do tabling at the farmers markets, you know,
Great.
and give out pamphlets also and tell them about the clubs.
Great.
If
No,
you
that's
want to
great.
be in charge of that or whatever.
Couldn't we do tabling at any of the campuses?
We've looked at that in the past, and I remember what's the one out in Livermore? Is that
Las Positas?
Las Positas. They had like one day a year that they let us set up some kind of you know, like a tent, you know, a shade structure out there, and it officially was to register voters, but it was the Tri-Valley Democratic Club registering voters. And by the way, you're invited to our meeting.
Yeah.
And but it was just a one day a year thing that they allowed external forces on campus. I don't know.
How'd that go? Ellis, what kind of success did you have?
Goose egg.
He said, what kind of successful did you have, Ellis?
I just said a goose egg. We didn't get any new members out of it that I can recall.
But you know,
What's
I
going
just
on
saw.
Hey, Shamir,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. You know, when you start talking about union leadership and whatnot, that always hits a nerve with me.
Okay.
How were you planning on doing your outreach to the locals within the same jurisdiction as ourselves?
Well, during, you know, my campaign for Dublin City Council, I got to build a relationship with most of the union leaders in, you know, that were supporting me, my candidacy. So I was going to reach out to them and say, hey, how can we get some help? You know, there are a couple unions that are actually headquartered here in Dublin too, and just kind of start to network through those channels and see how we could get some of the folks to become members.
Good thinking. Would you like me to contact the Labor Council to find out who all's in this area?
That would be great if you could help.
Okay, it'll be done.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And I saw, Jamie, your comment about, do we have an email template that we can, you know, you guys can send out to invite people? We don't have one, as you saw Evan's comment. Let me work on that. And I think it's good call out. Maybe we should provide you a simple template that you can send out to members or your friends in your network. So let's do that. And then I think we also already have, you know, farmers market open now. So if, you know, this is why I was asking for people, volunteers from each city who could go to the, you know, their farmer market in their cities and, you know, maybe just hand out some flyers or talk about like who we are and just inform people. So it's just thought. So more to come. Definitely looking for volunteers. So if you could help, I would greatly appreciate it.
Maybe for the next meeting, everybody could tell one person, one Democrat, and maybe they'll come.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking. I think it's a you know, request that I'd like to have every meeting for everybody. Just ask one Democrat, friend, neighbor, you know, any
Good idea.
colleague, just to bring one person. Like I asked everybody last time, I brought one today. I will bring one more person next month. And so if everybody can do one new person each month, I think we could double, triple, and 10x this club.
Tell them no, there's dessert.
Virtual dessert. Evan's going to be teaching us. Remember, Evan's going to be teaching us. So, all right. I know I took a lot of time. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful, Samir. Nicely structured and very succinct. And so next on our list, we have Sarah LaShawn-Lowe, our digital communications chair. Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you, everyone. So nice to see you all. As Ron mentioned, I am working with a team of people to lead the digital communications team. So I'm going to share my
Sure.
screen real quick, if that's okay. Committee. Oh my goodness gracious, y'all. It's been a long day. So first and foremost, why is a strong digital communications team important? First of all, we can conduct endless community outreach online, especially during a pandemic. It becomes a very effective way to recruit new possible members. And two, a lot of our work and a lot of our bonding happens during these monthly meetings, but there should be alternatives for people who can't make it to these monthly meetings. So proper maintenance of the website, proper maintenance of our social media, those are all great ways to bring in community members who can't make it to these calls. So that's why digital communications is really important for us. So far, what we've got going on are 3 kind of branches in the works. Most prominently, we are kind of piloting and pushing out our social media presence, namely Instagram and Facebook. We're also working on revamping our website. Brittany Kick is doing an incredible job working on that. But once that's done, we're going to need regular maintenance and upkeep, and that's on Squarespace. And this is kind of like a potential maybe something, but right now Evan is killing it with our email newsletter, but that's also something that digital communications can do. And how you can help, there are kind of 1.5 million ways that you can help with digital communications, but primarily we're working on content creation and posting, for example, infographics on Instagram and meeting posts on Facebook. And we do these primarily through Canva, and also just engagement on social media. If we had someone logged in on our Instagram account, liking other pages, following other profiles, that could really help increase our presence as well. So I also just want to say that if any of this sounds intimidating or foreign to you, do not worry. We have a strong fundamental team and we just want to grow. And I'm happy to sit with you as long as necessary to onboard and train and teach you so that you can contribute to our committee. So if even learning about Instagram or Canva is intriguing to you, please contact me and we'll get something started. And it doesn't have to be a long time commitment. The more people we have on our committee, the less time each person has to spend on it, you know? So if this is interesting to you, you can reach out to me in 4 ways. A, you can just private message us on Instagram. You should also follow us on Instagram if you have an Instagram. B, you can message us on Facebook. C, you can email me and I'll put my email in the chat. And D, you can also just drop a message in the Zoom chat right now and I'm happy to respond. So I'll take any questions if there are any, but thank you so much for your time.
Sarah, can we get the logo file, the original logo, saved onto the Google Drive so that I can use it going forward in other documents?
You got it.
Thank you.
Jackie, the original logo is on our website. If you just go to the top and right click on it, you can copy it.
Okay, yeah, I have all of the logos from the existing website. I want to get this new one saved off as well. So I don't know which, I want to be consistent. So if I see social media posting, you know, one type of logo for a given event, I want to continue on and use that same messaging.
Definitely. And on that note, I mean, I'm also happy to, so, you know, digital communications, we're kind of revamping a lot of aspects of our virtual presence, our website, even our logo, etc. So if I'm happy to do like focus groups and, you know, conversations about this process with everyone, just even if you don't want to get involved with the committee, but you have questions or requests of the committee, also reach out to me and that's perfectly fine too.
From Danville.
Okay, well, thank you, Sarah. Fine presentation on a very important committee, digital communications. And up next, we have Kunal, and I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Kawaware, can you tell me?
Yeah, it's Kaware.
Kaware, okay.
Yes. Perfect.
Kunal is our youth outreach chair, and we're glad to have him. Tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do and how we can help you.
All right, so I do have a presentation prepared, but in gist, a lot of what I'll be focusing on is trying to attract the youth in the Tri-Valley to upcoming campaigns, events, organizations, and of course, getting them to this club. I'll share my presentation with everybody.
I like the Pacific Island in the background.
Run vacation.
So basically, like Ron said, I'll be a director of youth outreach. I figured I'd also take this opportunity to introduce myself. I think it'll segue into what I talk about next, but I'm a junior in high school in Dublin. A lot of what I've done at my school and in my community is try to get more youth involved. This was both nationally with the Bernie Sanders campaign and also local campaigns of the Tri-Valley. I've also been an organizer at 350 in the Sunrise Movement. So I think those connections will come in handy and befit this role. Some of the areas like Asa mentioned, I'll also be working with them are on housing, environmental issues, and of course advocacy, which is I think what this position will really entail. Some specifics on the actual things that I'll be trying to accomplish is of course recruiting and engaging youth to the club. So I want to see some new familiar faces either from my school or the other local high schools. Basically any student, including college, who's interested, I want them to join their local Democratic club because to me, that's my initial instinct to get involved in democratic politics. And I think once we show them that this is an avenue they can pursue, it'll be extremely successful. I also want to get to know what their local issues are and provide them with a real field and policy opportunities. I think that most students find that they don't get a chance to actually voice their opinions at an actual community level. And I want this club to kind of act as their conduit. And lastly, I want to plug interested students into active campaigns. Some organizations in the area that are pretty active, Sunrise, Indivisible, Black Lives Matter, Our Revolution. I think using the connections we all have, I want students and leaders in the area to come and speak at our club, including Tri-Valley for Black Lives, Sunrise area, and Our Revolution East Bay. I want those leaders to come so that students are attracted to this club and know that basically this club is where it goes down. Essentially giving them the opportunity to be involved and in a safe environment. And when it comes campaign season, I want to funnel them into the campaigns we eventually endorse so they get direct political involvement. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning the position be like. Of course, I'm always open to any suggestions. Evan and I will be tweaking it as we go. Well, I'm also looking for any volunteers, anybody who wants to help, the more the merrier. But yeah, that's essentially what I'll be doing. Any questions?
Nice
Asa,
presentation.
Hand up.
Hey,
Sorry,
Asa, you-
Hey, this is Asa. I just had to make a quick comment. So there's a lot here about, youth and like getting the youth involved. And I think there's actually a really strong partnership for you and Samir in that case. You and I have talked about how to get involved, obviously, which we're in the committee. But I think Samir could learn a lot from you and how to really reach out to the youth. So, Samir, I think you should probably reach out to Kunal and.
Oh yes, agree. I will be reaching out to him now. Like I did reach out to Sarah. We're gonna, Sarah and I will work together. I'm gonna reach out to Kunal. We're gonna talk about that too, how to engage youth and bring them into this club.
Yeah, I mean, like, Kunal's got, the high school kids that are turning 18. They're going to be the next, hyper engaged group and demographic within the Tri-Valley. So I think it's really important to, get the perspective of someone like Kunal.
They'll come up with
Agree.
Thank you so much, Asa. All right.
Okay, nicely done. Good. And now, last but certainly not least, we're lucky to have Van Rainey as our issues chair. Van?
So, I mean, my basic thing is that if you have a particular interest or passion or want to get involved in any, particular matter, we can figure out a way to get that done. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now at the state legislature with committee hearings, taking various pieces of legislation forward. So being able to speak at committee hearings is fairly easy these days because everything's based on Zoom. And so from the comfort of your own home, you can participate very effectively in legislative sessions. On the local level, there's now a nascent activity with East Bay Community Energy to essentially create potential shovel-ready projects that might be used if the American Jobs Act goes into effect. So we're just now talking with members of the EBCE board and the Community Advisory Committee about various types of projects we can start designing and enrolling people in its support to figure out how we can advance climate issues and social justice issues as we try to implement particular programs and aspects of the American Jobs Act. On the local level, we've got various citizens climate actions, basically climate action plans that are taking into effect. And so those things kind of like run in the background, but they're particularly important in any effort to, create real actions that facilitate our effort to reverse climate change. And so the bottom line is that if you're interested in social justice, if you're interested in policing practices, if you're interested in gun control, there's a way that we can direct your energies to be more effective. We meet monthly with our congressional leaders through Indivisible, East Bay and local Tri-Valley Indivisible, or Livermore Indivisible. Also 350 Bay Area has been fairly active. They've got a meeting this coming month with Senator Padilla's office. We met with Eric Swalwell last week. And so we're beginning to develop regular contacts with the congressional and Senate offices that enable us to get most of our perspectives in our asks online, getting people to pay attention to what we're asking for, and many times getting commitments to act on them. And with a very difficult legislative process on the federal level, that kind of support is being felt particularly strongly. And we have, I think, a pretty significant impact in discussing our perspectives, progressive perspectives, with congressional leaders and even senators. So if you've got a particular interest in making waves, we're it. Come and talk to me, please. We'll figure out what to do with you.
Good. I like that. Well, thanks very much. This is just a wonderful list of talent and beautiful ideas from our committee chairs, and that bodes well for the upcoming year for the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. Now, every meeting we have some administrative duties that we have to take care of, one of them being the treasurer's report, the second being the approval of the minutes from the prior meetings. The treasurer's report was wonderfully incorporated into Alan's presentation, so we've heard that. Thank you, Alan. And now I'd like to turn over the floor to Jackie Taryn-Rankel, our secretary, for the approval of the minutes.
Before we move on, I do see somebody's hand still up. Asa, did you have a question for Van?
No, I'm gonna lower that bad boy.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Included in the meeting invite, Evan did include links to the March 1st, where we had the special election, and then our normal meeting, so that the minutes were sent out for both of those meetings. Did anybody have any corrections or additions or any questions about the minutes?
No, I've made my comments.
And I made those adjustments. I made those corrections to my grammar.
Wonderful. Yeah, Mr. Picky.
No, I'm glad you catch it. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or did not receive the minutes? I'd like to move then to, well, I guess I'm going to open it up to the floor to see if anybody wants to move to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second,
And Van seconded.
second.
Okay.
Okay. Those are approved.
Minutes are approved. Now we have two important bits of business left in the remaining 25 minutes that we have. So we'll take a look at our framework for this meeting. We have Jackie again giving us the Alameda Central Committee report. And then I'd like to ask Evan to do the clarification and vote to support the Disclose Act and AB 752. If you feel comfortable and have the materials, otherwise I can do that for you, but you seem to be the expert on this, so I think that would be appropriate. Okay, very good. Jackie, Alameda Central Committee report, if you have any.
I'll go ahead and give you a condensed version.
Okay.
The meeting did go a little shorter than the last ones, but it was still pretty long.
Okay.
Just a couple highlights. Q1 revenues are available online to members only. So those are elected members and associates, I assume, and alternates. That does not include club members or club reps. Revenues are down due to COVID restriction. There's been some missed fundraisers, so they noted a little bit of revenue loss.
I think I've seen enough.
Somebody's unmuted.
Yeah,
No longer, regarding the Treasury report, I think there was a little confusion. They went back to the bylaws and confirmed that there is not a need to vote on the Treasury report. It'll be provided as information only, and that is in the bylaws of the Alameda County Central Committee. Ballots for party officers are due back by 5 p.m. on April 21st, the ADEM election coming up. And there was a mention about only 50% of members so far have responded for committees. So they have not announced the committee members yet. They're still trying to get people to sign up for those committees. And then we did receive our vote on our associates, AD 16's associates, which were approved. Congratulations to Asa Strout, Samir Qureshi, Kevin Booth, and Sri Mupidi. Did I say that right? I'm sorry if I botched up any names. We also heard from Assembly Member Rob Bonta. He was a special guest. Rob Bonta has been nominated to California Attorney General, filling the seat vacated by Xavier Becerra, who was recently sworn in as Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. So I would encourage folks to go out onto the Facebook page for Alameda County Democratic Party and watch that interview. It was pretty enlightening. Again, I'm not going to go through all the legislative and resolutions. I'll go ahead and put these into a document and send it out as an information only. There are so many that they're going through, and I just will not serve any of them justice by rattling it off. So I will send that out to the club as a separate email.
Okay, great.
Oh, and one last note is we are conditionally chartered right now. We have all of our ducks in a row. Everything was submitted, payment was received. And at the next meeting, we should receive a vote for full charter.
Thanks for following up on that. That was an important point that was left unresolved from last meeting. Well, thank you much for that committee report on the important Central Committee. And now we'd like to turn it over to Evan on Support Disclose Act and AB 752.
Yeah, so this is just a little bit of confusion from the last meeting, but I think this is the easiest way to resolve it, which is before last meeting, we sent out information on SB 752, which is a bill that requires disclosures on initiatives, referendums, and recall petitions. When we spoke, we talked also about AB 1416 and SB 90, which are the Disclose Act, which add disclosures to the ballots themselves. And so that'll add disclosure of the top donors on the ballots. And so because of that confusion, just to make sure that all our ducks in a row, I'm suggesting that we just endorse all three of those bills. The information was sent to you again with the last set of emails. And so if we're all in agreement, nothing new has really changed about this. This is just to make sure that in our processes, we're following them correctly and that we aren't sending out wrong information in any way. So this would be really reaffirming our support for these three disclosure bills. So with that, I would turn it over for any questions if anyone has any. Otherwise, a simple motion and second will work.
So the clarification is SB 90 and AB 1416 are essentially the same bills, one in the state Senate and the other one in the state assembly. And so in essence, we're in favor of both of those. And the third measure, was there a third measure that we were discussing also?
Yeah, SB 752, which adds disclosure for initiatives, referendums, and recall petitions.
Okay, that's critical too. That's important stuff. Okay, let's open it up again to the floor. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment. Earlier tonight, I spoke to Shirley Schilingowski from California Clean Money. And after we take this vote, she would like Evan to respond to California Clean Money saying that the club signed on, because apparently they're handing this in to whoever they hand it into on Friday. So she's got kind of a short fuse and she was concerned about us giving her the thumbs up. So she said she was going to send you something tonight. So Evan, please look in your email for that.
Okay, thank you, Ellis. Additional comments, questions?
I took a look at 752, and it really does help clarify ads. So for instance, you can't hide your, who is endorsing this with little tiny small print where you can't see it and it disappears into the background. So it is a clarity act, a disclosure clarity act to make sure that it's fair practices being used and they're not just sneaking around the disclosures by hiding them and making them difficult to read. So it sounded like a really good partner bill with SB 90 and AB 1416.
That's wonderful. Greater clarification.
Fine print is a favorite tactic of the Republicans these days.
Yeah, regrettably, I agree. Should we vote then? Let's vote independently. First on AB 752. We'll do a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yes, aye. All those opposed? One. All those abstaining? The measure passes. For the Disclose Act, let's do SB 90. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? SB 90 is passed. Our resolution was unanimous. Moving to the final one, AB 1416 for the Assembly. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Well, that one passed unanimously also. So we're making some good progress on our meeting here. We have, let's see, any new business or announcements that anyone wants to make? We'll open this to the floor.
There's a resolution that's before the Central Committee in Alameda County. Basically, it's a resolution directing EBCE to support more social justice measures in their local development business plan. I didn't get a chance to post that in advance of this meeting, but I'd like to bring it up in our next meeting.
Okay, well, that sounds like a plan. Let's do that.
What was that? Do you know the title of that, Ben?
No, I
It was at
don't.
the Central Committee.
Yeah,
In support of equitable access to renewable energy, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and weatherization infrastructure.
that could be it. It's a particular resolution telling EBCD to direct their local development business plan funds more to helping with those kinds of issues. So that could be it.
Okay, I'll send out all of the resolutions from the committee, like I said, and we can pull whatever ones off you want.
Okay.
Okay.
John,
could you?
Ron, I have an additional comment.
Okay, very good.
After Rebecca Barrow-Cahan spoke to the club, I wrote a press release that included her topics and the resolutions that we passed. And to my surprise, the Livermore Independent published it, not verbatim, but pretty much what I had written, but also, and Ron deserves credit for this, the title of it was RBK Speaks to TVDC about an Alphabet Soup Zoom meeting now on YouTube. So that guaranteed that whoever read that said, what the hell is this about? And they went and they read the press release. But the YouTube part was very important because Ron was good enough to cut Rebecca's piece of the video and put it directly on YouTube rather than having to wade through the meeting and figure out where's Rebecca. And apparently whoever wrote that article sat there for 40 minutes and listened to what Rebecca had to say and wrote their article on it. This makes it very convenient for somebody writing an article about something we do. But it goes to a law that I've said that if the tree falls in the political forest and nobody hears it, it truly does not make a sound. Well, we made a sound, at least in the Livermore Independent, for that shot. So it's important to get these press releases out and to tell them what we're doing. Otherwise, it's just stays within this meeting. We don't tell anybody about it.
I happen to call the editors of the Livermore Independent to remind them of our meetings.
Yeah, well, that
They're
helps
members-
us.
That's wonderful.
They're
Yeah.
members of our club.
Yeah, well,
Sharon, would you like me to, I noticed in the paper they have a website to submit calendar
Yes.
entries. Should I submit those?
yeah, well, I have the email of the Livermore Independent editor, it's
Right.
Amy Brown.
Okay, so you
It
guys,
goes directly to the editor and
But you can do it too, in case,
Yeah.
you know, you might want to
and
add
what I
some.
suggest is that when I send one of these press releases around, maybe you want to send it to the press. I'm talking about all our members. There's nothing wrong with forwarding a press release that the club writes, particularly something that you like.
That's right. And that's wonderful exposure. And like you said, if the
Yeah,
tree
it's
falls and the media doesn't know about it, it hasn't fallen. Okay, wonderful. Any more comments or business?
I see a couple hands raised.
Okay, go ahead.
Mary?
Okay, well, I would like to invite you all to the Livermore Indivisible May meeting, which is Sunday, May 16th. It goes from, I believe, 1:30 to 3:30. And we have a guest speaker, Mark Roberts, who is the city manager of Livermore, doing a condensed version of the Key to the City program, which is a 3-week class, 3 weeks,
Wow.
3-month class, 3-month class that is there to try and recruit people to become committee members. I participated, or commission members. I participated. It was a wonderful, wonderful series of classes. And this is also something that they present to people who are recently elected to city council or who are trying to go on city council. I imagine, Evan, you've participated in it. And so I'd like to invite people to attend. I will be the MC.
Good for you.
That
Nice.
reminds me, it's Earth Week this week, and if anybody's interested in learning about various activities for Earth Week, you can go to Tri-Valley Citizens Climate Lobby.
How many years have we had an Earth Day - Earth Week now? About 50?
Yeah, it is. Well, 51. 50 was last year, and we had to blow it off because of the pandemic.
Ah, so 50 celebrations. Yeah, that's wonderful stuff. Okay.
All right. I've got a little announcement. Usually I don't have spoilers for our following meeting, but we've invited Swalwell for our next meeting. I'm not making any promises yet. We don't have the calendar fully set, but one thing with that is that keep an eye on the email because it may change our start time depending on his schedule. So just keep that in mind. So I do want to let people know to pay extra attention to the emails announcing the next meeting. I believe we'll still be starting at the same time. And I believe Swalwell will be here, but all of that is subject to his schedule. He is quite busy, as you all know.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Good work. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully we will get Eric. And I'll go ahead and take some video and cut it out so that Ellis will be able to promote it with just watching that on YouTube rather than the whole meeting. Any other announcements? John, maybe could you, if you're still with us, could you repeat your date and the event? Okay, John Rowe may not be here at this point, but it's May 1st, and it's the unions gathering downtown San Francisco by the Ferry Building to celebrate Workers' Day. Okay, an important event. Any other events?
No.
I can't see any hands. Anybody speak up if they have some announcement or an event? Okay, well, this was a wonderful meeting. And at this point, let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and we'll see you all next month.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.